whatever. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay. I wonder though, do you have a slide to put up just as a temporary? Because for people on Facebook, it's got to be kind of disorienting, or on YouTube or whatever, just to see us kind of wandering around and not actually have a formal starting point.
That's interesting, yeah.
Could you just use like a regular slide right now just to put up until we're ready to start?
I'd have to get all this stuff connected in to make that happen. But let me see.
Well, you wouldn't really need to because you don't have to put it on the screen.
No, but to send it to them, I've got to do it through here. Ah, no, don't do that. Shoot. I hate this. The power button sticks out just enough over here that when it hits the wall, it'll turn off. Just enough to drive me crazy.
Hi, everyone online. We will get started at 5 o'clock, so good to be with all of you.
Let's see here. So if I go into here.
Online. We will get started at... And that's my reminder to turn off my speaker.
Yes.
All right.
Indeedy. No. My laptop doesn't have that big. Hello. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Shoot. Do it quickly. Nope, it's not marked. It's not working. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Services will begin at 5 p.m. Happy to have you with us. Can you hear us okay, Jerry? Oh, I can't hear you, but hold on, that's my fault. You can't hear me at all? Okay. I bet when I do this, you'll be able to hear me even better. How's that? Can you hear me okay now? Perfect. Fantastic. We'll be starting services in about 8 minutes, folks.
Hi, Jordan. Hello, everyone online. So glad you're here. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Ashries. Good to see you guys. Sylvia and Sunny, so good to see you. I can't actually hear you because my sound needs to be off, but I'm still really glad to be with all of you. And hi, Roz. Good to see you as well. We will get started in just a few minutes. Okay, there we go. So good to see you. Hi. There we go. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're about to get started, so I'm going to lovingly push the mute button so that everyone online will be able to hear. And I hope you can stay around afterwards to kind of be with one another.
How good it is to be together, together as one in love, joy, and laughter. How good it is to be in this moment together. Kulanu גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, ומנהיג שבת אחים, גם יחד. How good it is to be together, together as one in love, joy, and laughter. How good it is to be in this moment together. Kulanu beyachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
And truly, how good it is to all be together. Whether we're together in this really special place in our sanctuary. We're online on Zoom in company with one another, or we're on Facebook or on YouTube. It is a blessing to be in sacred community this evening. Tonight, as we know, all over the country and all over the world, there are millions and millions of people who are celebrating one of their most important holidays. They gather around elaborate dinners for a festive meal, enjoying the company of one another. They attend faith services in search of new inspiration, of community, and of sanctity. This holiday that they're celebrating is, of course, Shabbat. What, there's another holiday going on or something? No, of course, we have this special time tonight at 5 o'clock because we know that there are so many members of our temple family who come from interfaith families, who have families who celebrate Christmas. And so we're really, really glad that we can carve out this time to welcome in the beauty of Shabbat while also allowing families to come together and to be with one another as they celebrate Christmas. So for everyone who's celebrating Christmas and Shabbat, you have extra joy this particular day, right? And what I want us to be able to do right now is just to take this moment to allow ourselves to take a breath, to welcome in our holy day of Shabbat, our day of sanctity, our day of refreshing. And I'd love to invite up Caden, who's home from college, to lead us in lighting our Shabbat candles. You can find the blessings on page 120.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel. Hang on. Almost there. Shabbat. Okay.
Sometimes we have to work a little bit harder to kindle those lights of Shabbat.
Is it?
Got
Okay.
it.
They glow
Good job.
just as beautiful. Thank you so much, Caden. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to continue with some prayers, just welcoming in this day, and starting with Lachuna Ranana on page 130.
Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, Adonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, Adonai. Naria, naria, letzuri shemu, negan mavana vetoda. Naria, naria, letzuri shemu, naria lo. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, Adonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, Adonai. We continue with singing a new song to God, Psalm 96, page 131. Shirul Adonai, kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai, shir chadash. Shirul Adonai, kol haaretz. Shirul
We are going to continue in just one moment with Lecha Dodi, welcoming in the Sabbath bride. But before we can even do that, we need to be able to welcome in one another. So I invite everyone who's here to send some love across the room. Everyone who's online, send a message of Shabbat Shalom to an old friend, to perhaps someone who you don't even know yet. Because when we're together in community, when we can embrace one another, that's truly when God's presence is with us. Let's turn to page 138, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat, nekabela. שמור וזכור בדיבורך, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, זאת מה זה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. Rise if we are able, and we face the doors through which we entered as we welcome the Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה.
Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel once wrote, "Great is the power of prayer, for to worship is to expand the presence of God in the world. God is transcendent, but our worship makes him immanent." We turn to the Baruch Hu, the call to worship, and we rise in body or spirit, page 146.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai.
One of the blessings of doing this service at 5 o'clock is that we are actually doing a service as the sun was going down outside, right? We don't usually do that in the wintertime. And so we can feel that transition of the week ending, of a new day of possibilities that's beginning. On page 149, praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night as heaven spans to infinity. You set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 150.
Ahavat olam et Yisrael Amecha ahavta Amecha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochvenu ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל.
Page 152, we say the Shema, either focusing on the words of the page with our eyes closed or joining me in sign language.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On page 157, we continue. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. 158.
ונאמר כי בד אדוני את יעקב ויהלום יד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We turn to page 160 for the Hashkivenu prayer. This prayer that we pray as we tuck our children into bed at night, and as we come together in perhaps difficult and challenging times, asking that God spread over us God's chupat shalom, God's canopy of peace, protecting us on our comings and our goings. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha ushmor tzeiteinu voreinu
אתה אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, הבורא סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Continue on page 162 with the words of Vashamru commanding us to keep Shabbat holy. Isn't that what we're doing? By being here, by coming together, whether it's in person or on a screen, we are keeping the Shabbat and making this marked moment in time holy for all of us. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת לעשות, את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם. ישראל, אותי לעולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, ויהי נפש, ויהי נפש.
It is impossible to imagine prayer without at the same time feeling the nearness and greatness of the Creator, said Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik. His absolute justice, his fatherly concern with human affairs, his anger and his wrath caused by unjust deeds. When we bow in prayer, we must feel his soothing hand and the infinite love and mercy for his creatures. We cling to him as a living God, not an idea, an abstract being. We are in God's company and we are certain of God's sympathy. There is in prayer an experience of emotions which can only be produced by direct contact with God. And I invite everyone to rise now as we turn to page 164 to offer our prayers to God.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. I invite you to continue with your own personal prayers and meditations or the words of our prayer book, and you may be seated as soon as you feel ready to do so.
יהיו לבצו עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי
I find it fascinating that Moses' call to leadership comes in the form of fire. This week's Torah portion talks about Labat Eish, the blazing fire that erupts in a bush, and yet the bush remains unconsumed. Fire, as we know, can be destructive. We know this from our experience with wildfires. We know this from the Torah stories as well. Fire destroys the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, consumes Aaron's sons, Nadav and Abihu, and God is described as having a blazing anger that can consume anything in its path. It's dangerous and it's frightening. Moses had once felt within him a blazing fire of fury, and it had not served him well, not one bit. As a young child growing up in the Pharaoh's palace, Moses had been aware of the Hebrews and how they were being mistreated. But he had no idea just how badly. So when he was old enough, he left the palace to witness for himself what was going on, and then he saw a taskmaster that was beating a Hebrew slave. And he felt a righteous indignation rise inside of him. He wanted to put this injustice to an end. He needed to do something to respond. Impassioned, an inferno of anger burst forth from him, and he violently struck the taskmaster and killed him. This act did no good for anyone. It only enraged the Egyptians. He took a human life. And even the Hebrews who found out about what Moses had done turned against him, demanding to know why he would do such a thing. As my beloved teacher, Rabbi Norman Cohen, explains, in Egypt, when he tries to impose a measure of justice, he lashes out both at the Egyptian and the Hebrew struggling with his fellow Hebrew. And he winds up alienating both the Egyptians and his own people in the process. He had no choice at this point but to flee from his anger, to flee from the fire within, because his life was in danger. At this point, Moses comes to Midian, where he comes upon a cool well of water, a soothing balm to the raging fires within. It was there that he found his new home, that he married a beautiful woman named Zipporah. He served as a shepherd, tending his father-in-law's flock, living a content, drama-free life. He was at last free. He was at last accepted. Life was good. And then, one day, everything changed. In his journeys, he came upon a bush that was burning, but was not consumed. This was, curiously, not a destructive fire. To the contrary, it provided warmth and light. There was something calming, sacred about it. As he studied the dancing flames, suddenly a voice of God emerged from it, asking Moses to return to Egypt, to lead the Hebrews to freedom. Moses' initial response to this, understandably, was apprehension. He was now a father, a husband, a shepherd. He was living well in Midian. He had left all of his anger behind, putting his experiences in Egypt completely in the rearview mirror, and he was reluctant to rekindle those flames and return to a land filled with injustice, with violence, fear, and hostility. He wanted to avoid all conflict and live in peace and prosperity. Perhaps we can relate. In a world filled with so much polarity, perhaps we too have the urge to avoid conflicts, to stay away from difficult conversations and passions, to keep the peace. In his book, Standing in the Fire, Larry Dressler explains why this is actually a mistake. He notes that fire can be destructive, but it can also be a source of inspiration, warmth, creativity, and growth. Where there is heat, there is the possibility of transformation, he explains. Fire can be a source of rebirth. We know that the sequoias actually require fire to thrive. Small fires punch holes in the forest floor, allowing more light and water for seedlings. They heat cones so that they can open and release new sequoia seeds. And they get rid of some of the leaves in the forest floors, allowing the seeds to benefit from the enriched mineral soil beneath. Throughout the 20th centuries, there were campaigns to avoid all fires in the forest, putting them out immediately, from the misguided notion that all fire is bad. While that saved the lives of some young trees, it created an overcrowded forest in which fires are much more dangerous and extreme. Avoiding fires, avoiding conflict, is no better than responding to in a fury of anger and violence. Both lead to destruction. Hotbeds of emotion let us know that something is important enough to discover it. There is something worth discussing and grappling with. As Larry Dressler continues, high heat moments are as natural and as necessary to human progress as they are in nature. We need fire, as much as our prairies and forests need a cyclical blaze to stay healthy. Nothing interesting or innovative has ever really happened without the heat of passion, disagreement, fear, or confusion. In fact, fire is often the best indicator that people care about the issue with which they are struggling. Moses saw the fire, and he recognized that the injustice towards the Jewish people hadn't waned simply because he stopped thinking about them. The problem wouldn't resolve without attention. God called him, his people were suffering, and they needed him. Although Moses was at first resistant, he responded. He allowed his care for the Jewish people to spark in him leadership qualities that he never otherwise would have imagined. He found his voice, but he never would have unless first he had looked into the fire. The burning bush calls out to Moses, kindling his love for the Jewish people, his commitment to justice, his desire to help. And only after witnessing and experiencing destructive fire, this bush taught him that there was another way, that it was possible to lean into his passions, to walk into the fire, and to come out stronger for it. Moses had, in the past, made the mistake of letting his emotions control him. He had made an error of walking away from his people, and now he was ready to take on a new form of leadership, standing in the fire, passionately working for justice and freedom. The fire of the burning bush in our Torah portion is described not just as Aish, fire, but as Labat Aish. There's midrashim that explain that the word Labat refers to Lev, the heart. So the Labat Lev is a combination of passion and compassion, of ambition and humility. Through Labat Lev, Moses learned not only to channel his passions in a productive way, but through doing so, to fall more and more in love with his people, with God, and with Torah. It is my prayer that we too will be inspired by the symbolism of the burning bush, the Labat Aish, and that Moses' example that flowed through it, courageously responding to the fires within and without, in order to create a more passionate and compassionate world. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. We always turn right around studying Torah or reading from Torah to the words of the Mishaberach prayer, hoping that people in our community, people in our hearts will have a complete and speedy recovery. So tonight we turn to page 371. I invite everyone who's online, please write down in the chat the names of anyone for whom you'd like to offer this prayer. And for all of us here, I invite you to say aloud the names of anyone as my eyes go around the room. Rebecca Rothstein, and everyone whose names are written in the chat, or everyone whose names we hold in our hearts. Together, let's join page 371, Mishaberach.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh hacholim. Blessed are you, God, whose healing presence is with all of those in need. And we all say, Amen.
Amen. We turn to page 586 for Aleinu, and I invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים מודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא תהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Page 592. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. This week we are mourning for the recent loss of Patricia Mednick, Lisa Takami's aunt. And this month we're also mourning for people who have died in the past 30 days. Charles Schneider, Yamna Aish, Alicia Lipino, and Lenny Felt. We're observing yard sites for Barbara Shirley Ackerman, Helen Aglaze, James Anderson, Louis Askenazi, Molly Braverman, Belle Bush, Samuel Bialik, Bonnie Byer, William Cantor, Robert Charlip, Pearl Clemens, Gary Cavelli, Herman Daskin, Milton Davidson, Leonore Davis, Davida Efros, Valerie Farbman, Charles Goldman, Susan Goldman Shaw, Abraham Goldstein, Sam Gould, Joe Hayes, Helen Held, Marvin Hybert, Billy Hoberman, Jacob Kahn, Milton Kaufman, Kenneth Norman Land, Gloria Matlis Brandt, Victor Matlis, Irving Isidore Miller, Beverly Resnick, Lorraine Rosenberg, Sylvia Rosenberg, Philip Schwartz, Ida Sickle, Esther Siegelman, Emily Stolberg, Alfred Taussig, William Max Waterman, Miriam Weinstein, Helen Weiss, Ben Weitzman, and Joyce Wayne. For all of these people, we offer our Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma divrach hirotei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai echon u'v'yom echon, u'chayei d'kol beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'bizman b'imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Da'miram v'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be a blessing.
Oseh shalom b'romav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Oseh shalom b'romav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ve'yaseh shalom, ve'yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'yaseh shalom, ve'yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Please be seated for just a second. I want to really thank you, Caden, for lighting candles tonight, and give a huge thank you to Tom and to Peter for being greeters this evening, along with Andrea, who is also doing double duty, and she's going to offer some of the announcements on behalf of the board. Thank you, Andrea.
Oh, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and it's my pleasure to represent Temple Bethel's Board of Directors tonight. So here's a few announcements to share. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. is our Shabbat morning tour on the trails. It's a walking the Lunada Bay Elementary Trail at 520 Paseo Lunado in Palos Verdes Estates. And please, thank you for wearing your masks. And of course, being Christmas Eve and us being the good Jews that we are, it's not too late to participate in our second annual Chinese food on Christmas. It's a fundraiser with our friends at Szechuan Restaurant. It's at the corner of PCH and Oak in Lomita. Excellent food, had it for lunch. Bring your coupon. Szechuan will donate 10% of your total order to Temple Bethel. And thank you so much for all of your support. Next week, Shabbat service will be another early at 5 p.m. And this service will be conducted virtually only. So we look forward to sharing Shabbat together in community next week. Again, it's going to be at 5 p.m. Happy everything. Happy holidays, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you so much, Andrea. And for everyone online, we'll give you the opportunity to go into breakout rooms so that you can be present with one another, and I encourage you to do that. For everyone who's here, we know we so desperately want to be in community with one another. Because of the new variants, we're taking some extra precautions. So while we would love to be with you, we encourage for any gatherings that happen to happen outside. We want everyone to stay safe and to stay healthy. And we just hope that you have a really, really wonderful Shabbat, Christmas, Chinese food and movie days, whatever you celebrate, I hope it's a good one.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Hello. Oh, so nice to meet you.